Hey, so good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Reasonable Doubt, brought to you by the Harris County Criminal Lawyers Association. Do not be alarmed. I know you can see that our fearless host, Jay Vela, is not here because he's at home being a good husband, taking care of somebody who needs to be taken care of. So good for him. A round of applause. But today we have myself, Damon Parrish, and Justin Harris, who are going to try to host this show and see if we can fill the very small shoes of Jay Vela. Justin, what's going on?
Hey man, he's got small shoes but big hands.
He's got big
Very
hands.
big.
You know, they say about a man
Yeah.
with small feet, big hands.
I don't know. What do they say?
I don't know either, actually. I was hoping you would tell me. I don't know.
You're
I don't know.
hosting tonight.
Yeah. So we
Thanks
got
for
an
coming on,
interesting
Damon. I
show.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for actually having me on. I got the call to
Of
come on,
course.
and I was super excited. So we're going to see if we can have another good show today. I got a lot of interesting topics. So let's see if we can jump right in. You ready, Justin?
I'm ready when you are.
So when I told my friends I was going to be on Reasonable Doubt, they said, "Hey, can you discuss the bond conditions in Harris County, Texas?" And I said, "Absolutely. Why not?" Right. So let's talk about bond conditions, Justin. What is bond?
Bond is supposed to primarily serve two purposes. The main one is to secure defendant's presence in court, and the second is to protect the community. Bail or bond is supposed to be sufficient to do that.
So, question: how does a surety bond protect the community?
I don't know. I don't know that it does, right? Because I mean, it makes a bonding company have like some more money, and they can like, I guess, put up more burglar bars on their like kind of shoddy buildings in sketchy parts of town. But I don't know how it protects the community, and I often wonder when I'm talking to clients about this: what is the community that's being protected? Like Harris County, a family, a neighborhood. Like,
Right,
what's the
right.
community? So I don't know. I don't know how paying a bonding company a percentage that's arbitrarily determined by the bonding company of what the total bail amount is protects the community, to be
So,
honest.
if and I agree with you. I think a lot of times there's this concept that rich people don't commit crimes and poor people do. So let's tax the poor people and they'll be better for the community. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me either, right? So then
Right.
if a judge is going to, let's say, make steps to try to protect the community, what can they do via bond?
Well, again, depending on the community, judges can impose conditions. I mean, is this where you're going? They can impose conditions that are
Yeah.
supposed to be intended to do that. It may be debatable or arguable whether they actually accomplish that what they set out to do or purport to do, but they can put conditions in place like curfews and everyone is a condition: no drugs or alcohol. Some courts enforce it differently than others by
Mm-hmm.
you know daily check-ins for drug tests, weekly check-ins for drug and alcohol tests. In the case of certain DWI cases, here's one that I think you could argue protects the community, however big or small that is. Certain DWIs are going to trigger an automatic requirement of an interlock in a car, any car that a person drives with that charge. And if you got somebody who has trouble drinking and not driving, that will stop them from driving if they reach a level of intoxication that would be unsafe. That might be something that's pretty well tailored to protect the community. But it begs the question, though. When I've had plenty of cases of people charged with like a second driving while intoxicated offense,
Mm-hmm.
and both their first and their second involved no alcohol whatsoever. They were just accused of being intoxicated on drugs, street drugs, legal drugs, prescriptions, non-prescriptions, whatever. They were intoxicated on drugs only. Those interlocks that are required on a second DWI aren't going to stop somebody from being high on every drug under the sun and being able to drive the car. It just stops the car if they've been drinking alcohol. But there's a lot of conditions that they can impose. They can keep people away from certain people.
Right,
So
right.
in assault cases or even in theft cases, you see judges impose conditions that say you can't go within a certain number of feet of this person or this house or this business or
Right.
whatever. In murders and sexual assaults and retaliation cases, they'll put restrictions on communications that you can have with witnesses in the case.
So Justin, you mentioned something earlier I want to hit on. You said that bond conditions can be tailored, right? And
they're supposed to be.
Supposed to be tailored. And I agree. So do you, in your experience, and I've got my own belief system as well, but I want to hear from you as well, and as well as anybody else listening to chime in. Do you think judges are tailoring bond conditions for the particular charge, or just doing a carpet, everything goes, everything under the sink, it doesn't quite matter what it is, we're going to do it type thing?
Well, I think that they do tailor them to the charge. And I think that becomes problematic because they should be tailored to the person, obviously in relation to that charge. And that's where I start to have issues with judges. Anytime I see a judge or a court anywhere, Harris County or anywhere, that has these blanket policies of, oh, this is how I treat this kind of case, or this is how I treat somebody in this particular situation, always across the board, I'm always struck by the fact that if a court comes in and imposes those kinds of like just dogmatic, whatever it is, good thing for us or bad thing for our client on this type of case without hearing any specific facts about somebody, that poses problems because we don't need a judge, right? We can just have a computer system that goes, oh, it's that category. Well, then they get this bond condition and I can't hear anything else because I'm just a computer. So there's a lot of judges that have like requirements. If you get a bond violation report, you go sit in jail for 60 days and I won't consider setting a bond for you until 60 days. Well, what if you have somebody in the bond condition? Let me get a chance to explain what really happened here, and locking this person up and not even considering it for 60 days. I mean, can you imagine what would happen to your household if you were just taken away from it for 60 straight days?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
I don't know how the finances are in your house, but you have kids and a mortgage and bills and all kinds of things to be gone for 2 months. You know, unless you've got 2 months of vacation time and Alex Bunnan is going to keep paying you during that time and you're going to get to keep your job, then okay, then you're not. You're going to lose that job for not being there for 60 days because you're locked up on a felony charge. Then yeah, your family is now going to start suffering. And there's judges in that court, in the Harris County Courthouse and in the state of Texas. They won't even talk to you about what the violation is until your client sits out for those 60 or 61 days until they have to come up for bail review again.
So I'll tell you what,
I do see judges put these blanket policies in place on a charge specific basis. I think they need to be looking at an individual person or case specific basis because one person's bond conditions may not be enough for a different person.
Right. And so I tell you the issue I have, and I agree with you. The issue I always have with it is the judges seem to forget that people are presumed innocent, right? And they also seem to forget that when you begin this case, bond conditions are supposed to be narrowly applied to the person at hand. And I agree, right. When you have these blanket bond conditions, then we don't need a judge. This could be done at magistrate level or by code, and that's not what we want, right? You want a judge to listen to the facts of every case, and it can be a lot, but hey, when you run for judge, that's what you sign up for, right? To listen to the facts of every case and to make a determination based off that case, because I think judges forget that the person standing in front of them is also part of their community as well, right? And so you need to narrowly tailor those bond conditions to suit that purpose, that person, and that charge also. I think that a lot of times that get lost. And so you end up having people charged with low-level drug offenses with GPS requirements that don't make sense, right? Or you end up having people getting kicked out of their homes when they live there, and that doesn't make any sense. And you have a lot of conditions that are, in my opinion, equal to being on probation. And so I have a lot of clients who really feel like the bond conditions they're on are punishment. Like,
oh yeah, no, I hear that all the time, right?
Yep.
Well, don't I get any credit for all for the probation I've been doing for the last 9 months? And I have to step back and go, look, I get it. It feels like you're on probation. You're checking in every week or every month. You're having to go pee in a cup. You have to wear that thing on your ankle. You can't go out of town. You have to pay these fees. But you're not being actually punished for anything right now.
Right.
And a lot of them are like, what do you mean I'm not being punished? I haven't been able to go home in 2 months.
Feels like it, huh?
I can't. Yeah, I'm being punished. I mean,
feels like it.
So yeah, and the law recognizes that to a degree. The law recognizes that you have like a property interest in the bond, and that's why rules of evidence apply for a court to revoke, raise, or deny bail. We need to get judges to like remember that and stop like revoking bonds through email when they get a piece of paper from somebody in pretrial services. But I find that a lot of the judges in Harris County, if you raise that issue with them and say, whoa, 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 there are rules that we have to go through. A lot of them will kind of back off and listen to that. There are others that don't. And they've been deemed by the courts of appeals, and they still continue to set unreasonably high bonds, unreasonable conditions for bond, and deny bond where they should.
So I think that I concur with your analysis, and I think if you're gonna have a judge to sit there and listen to the facts of the case, one of the things I absolutely hate is to argue something and it mean nothing, right? So you sit up there, you have a hearing, you have witnesses, you explain something, and then the response is, well, that's just my policy. Well, Judge, we're not policy. This is not policy.
We don't need a judge,
right? This is a person, and it's okay sometimes in some cases to have really restrictive bond conditions. I get that, but I also kind of think, and this is a little controversial, if you have that type of violent charge and you want to impose that many restrictions, maybe that person shouldn't be on bond, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that person should not be on bond, and that's kind of controversial. I get it, but I think most of the time we deal with low level or first time offenders, and they're treated like they're habituals, and I just have a problem with that, and that's something we have to continue to deal with here with judges, with the use of bond as a means of punishment before you've been punished, before discovery is even in. But that actually is my second question for you.
Right? Well, I have a question for you then on that all the time. Who are you seeing that's getting this right, in your opinion? Like, are you willing to name some names? Oh, looks like we have a phone call.
Before we do, we have a caller. Caller, go ahead.
I thought that was just Mark saying rock out.
I thought he was Wayne's World excellent.
Hey
guys. Hey guys, it's Murray. Long time viewer, first time caller.
What?
I was hoping that Damon would actually talk about some of the great work that he's been doing with working with the jail on behalf of the organization. He's been making a lot of meetings and doing getting some changes made. I'd love to hear him talk about that. So I'm going to shut up and let you guys talk about it.
And Murray, I wish you could be here right now. I kind of miss your bald face. I really do.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm solo parenting tonight. We're watching the Lions and the Chiefs game. We're rooting for the Lions just to be anti-Darvishi. So make him mad.
I support that as well. Also, I've got the Lions quarterback, so I need that as well.
Yeah,
it would be easier.
The Lions have got
it'd be easier to dislike the Chiefs as much as I want to, since Sean's such a fan. If Patrick Mahomes wasn't such a cool guy.
I know. I like Mahomes too, but the Lions have a Aggie wide receiver and an Aggie coach, so now I got to root for them. So. All right, I'm gonna hang up. But Damon, please tell us about everything that you've been doing with the jail, because that's some great work, and we're very appreciative for everything you've been doing with it. Y'all have a good night.
Absolutely. And thanks for that. And I also want to say that Murray was with me, so this was a team effort. So obviously in Harris County we have a jail, and the jail houses all of our clients that for some reason can't afford these outrageously high bonds or have no bond. And as you are aware, the Harris County Jail is unreasonably overcrowded, right? And it's got a lot of people, and they've had a unbelievable amount of inmate deaths, right? And so they've been sued. And in response to that, one of the issues that the jail has stated is, hey, listen, sometimes inmates fight because their attorneys visit too much or not enough.
What?
Yeah, it was a statement made.
They said this in a meeting?
They said this, I don't know if it was to the media, but it was definitely in a meeting because it was brought to our attention that inmates are fighting because, Justin, you visit your client every 2 days, and I visit my client once a month. And so my client is mad at your client because you come every 2 days, I come once a month, and they're fighting. Which,
I think that sounds like...
Doesn't make sense.
I mean...
It doesn't make sense, right? And so we had a meeting over that because we discussed with the jail that, hey, look, for the longest time, the defense bar and the jail, we've had a very cordial relationship. You know what I mean? We understand you got to do what you have to do. We do what we do. And part of that, we as attorneys go through a lot of hoops to visit our clients. Some jails are great. Some jails not so great. Some jails you can go meet with them, and as soon as you walk into the jail, they bring your client out. Other jails, you have to wait 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour for them to get your client or go through some process. And so we had a meeting to cover that and other issues with the jail. I'm going to go through some of the issues we have. First of all, we have Securus. Securus is the electronic visiting monitoring system we have for visiting jail clients from a laptop. And one jail uses Securus.
Or phone calls, or
phone. Yeah.
They're
and our clients, when they call their family, those calls are going through Securus. And when we visit our clients, sometimes via Zoom, we can do that in one jail, works perfect. And via Securus, it never works. So we had a meeting to discuss with the jail, hey, listen, as a defense rep, as a defense bar, as a defense attorney, when I go visit my clients via Securus, I never have success with that. I schedule the visit sometimes a week, sometimes 3 or 4 days in advance, and they never show up. If I do it via Zoom, I can do it the day before, and I will have that visit for sure the next day, and sometimes earlier.
Zoom works without a hitch. Deputy Greenwood, Deputy Espinosa, thank you so much.
Bravo.
Amazing people.
And so we discussed
they're professional, they're cordial to my clients.
Absolutely.
They're great.
And so we discussed that issue of maybe getting rid of Securus and bringing Zoom across the board, right? And I know they're in a contract with Securus, but if it's not working, it's not working. And having a system in place that doesn't work is not good for business. And then saying, hey, we got this system in place, you don't use it, or you do use it, it doesn't work, you're blaming fighting on us. So we discussed that issue. We also discussed, and I think this is important, in our electronic discovery world we live in, that the jail does not have Wi-Fi, or it's not Wi-Fi enabled for the private bar. And when you go there, at this point, we go to trial, we'll have 30, 40 gigabytes of body cams. We'll have surveillance videos. We'll have all this discovery that's all electronic. And yeah, I can print out an offense report and read it to you, but I cannot print out body cams and show them to you. I need to stream that and show it to you. And if you've ever been into the jail, it's just concrete walls and steel and not really conducive to a Wi-Fi signal. So attorneys cannot affect a proper visit when they do go down there, because you can't show your client information. And I think if you think about it, and if you really think about it, no person is going to want to resolve a criminal case without looking at the evidence against them. And everybody wants to see the evidence against them. And so we talked about, hopefully, that they were going to expand that Wi-Fi to give everybody access. So that was discussed.
You've been working on that Wi-Fi in the jail for quite a while.
A long time.
And in that time you've been working on it, they have completely renovated the entire 20-story CJC, right? And they rolled out new Wi-Fi protocols in the CJC that we use that we didn't have a few years back, where you just log in and click accept and set up your virtual private network so they can't get through your firewall. But they act like moving that over in the jail is, I don't understand the resistance there. Do they think the guards are going to just be spending time surfing the web, or what is the problem? I mean, the inmates don't have iPods or laptops or they don't have any access to that stuff unless the guards give it to them. So what are they worried about? What's the budgetary issues or what?
To carry it further, I don't know. But what we do know is the jail's under construction, which led to our third issue. The jail's under construction, so this is a great time to add Wi-Fi access points, because you are at this point in time, you are actively redoing each floor in the jail. I would think if you're going to add Wi-Fi access, which I know it's not a lot. It is money, but it's not a lot. What a time to do it when you're doing construction, right? And so that led to our third problem is of course, our clients are being off-sited to LaSalle, Louisiana, and Post, Texas. Neither one of those places are near Harris County, Texas. Neither one. And the nearest one is
I think
LaSalle.
They're mostly using Post, Texas. Now they're not using LaSalle, I've heard.
Really?
But yeah, they're transferring people, and I hear different things. If it's 30 days, if your case is 30 days out or 35 days out, they
no. And so to that point, we talked to them, and there's no rhyme or reason. So when I was on that committee, one thing we discussed was, look, I can't keep the jail I can't force them to keep my client in Harris County so I can visit them. If you're going to send them off, I can't stop it. But a few things here. One, I still want to visit them electronically or whatever. That's in place. But two, when I need them here for like trial or a hearing, they need to be here. And so there was an agreement in place that when a inmate or a client of ours who's in custody is set for trial, they will not get sent off. They will stay in Harris County so you can go visit with them. And that agreement is not being followed.
That's not happening.
It's not being followed. Plenty of times we're set for trial and a week out, and we go to try to visit our client, and they're overseas someplace, we can't find them, or a month out, we're trying to find them, and you just really can't prepare for trial when your client is all the way in LaSalle or Post, Texas, and you have some like janky electronic visiting system that's complicated, and also you don't know if it's trustworthy. The same with security.
Right.
And that was promised to us that would happen.
Post, Texas is 7.5 hours away from Houston. 7.5 hours. So we're talking about one thing here, but there's another deal, which is like everybody watching this who's a taxpayer in Harris County is paying for us to put people on buses and drive them 7.5 hours and then drive that bus back 7.5 hours. And they do this, at least once a week.
They do it once a week.
They might be doing this multiple times a week. Yeah, maybe multiple times a week. But I mean, we have to figure something else out. I mean, it's been said before by people way smarter than me on this show and elsewhere. We can't get ourselves out of this situation by just locking everyone up. We need, and Texas legislature passed 792 new laws? You know, they've criminalized things that were already criminalized, and they made them more severe. Now, like, you can get arrested and you can already be arrested if you didn't present your driver's license when you get pulled over. But now it's a Class B misdemeanor instead of a Class C misdemeanor to not presenting your driver's license when asked. So, and you already can get arrested for Class B misdemeanor driving on an invalid or suspended license. These people who have a valid license, they just don't present it to the officer when they're required to, and all kinds of other things. I mean, Republicans in Texas who passed all these laws are supposed to be about small government, right? And like government out of my lives. And all they did was just more and more ways to get government in your bedroom, in your doctor's office, in all of your most personal decisions, medical decisions, like all kinds of stuff that they're now involved in more heavily. And I don't know when the voters are going to wake up and see that they're being duped if they think they're voting for like small anti-government Republicans.
Well, that's like a totally
blowing up the
issue.
Government and putting more government oversight and reach on individual citizens.
So we can discuss that one as well. I mean, the money spent on this, it's never, to me, they never spend money correctly, but you know, that's something different. So we did discuss that, and hopefully that should be remedied, but I don't know if it will. The next issue we're discussing, and I'm arguing with them on now, is actually something that I think to me is kind of silly. It is 110 degrees outside in Harris County, Texas, right? It's hot. It's not raining. And if you are a woman and especially an attorney, and you go to court, let's say with a dress on that is sleeveless, so they can see your shoulders, which by the way is court appropriate. Every court I've been in, I've seen a dress like that. Apparently, if you walk yourself to the jail to do a visit, they will say you can't come in here, or they'll threaten you. They will not let you see your client. And I think that's a problem. I think it's a problem.
That's a big problem.
To tell a woman who is dressed for court that she can't come to see her client in jail because either her client or the jail staff. Because remember, when you do jail visits, you only see your client. We don't walk into general population. And so you only see your client and jail staff. So apparently the numerous amounts of jail staff and your one client are going to see your shoulders and go like bananas and flip out and start a riot, which makes no sense. I think it's wrong to judge a person off their body, especially a woman. And I think in this heat, requiring anybody to wear a jacket in 110 degree weather. And don't get me wrong though, I think it's okay to have some dress code standards. I really do. But I cannot envision them turning a man away because they can see his shoulders. And if you wouldn't do it to a man, you can't do it to a woman. And even if you did, it is too hot to force people to come to jail wearing jackets. If I can wear this in court, I can wear it in jail. And so we're kind of litigating.
That's the big one right there. If you can do it in court, and judges, I've seen judges call lawyers out and defendants out, anybody out who's not dressed appropriately in a court. They'll do it, with varying degrees of embarrassment. But The judges can police that kind of thing better than the jail staff can. And then, yeah, you're right. Like, what's the risk here? If a woman shows a little bit of like her upper arm or her shoulder, that's gonna. I mean, we're not living in Saudi Arabia. I don't understand
Right.
the logic behind some of those things.
I just think
And all of
it's a
this is
it's a
intended
wrong
towards Saudi
policy.
Arabia.
I think it's a wrong policy to say we need more attorney visits, and then when attorneys show up, say, "Ma'am, I see your shoulders. Go away." I mean, I think that's I think that's a really bad idea. And we're still kind of fighting that one as well. They've asked that we kind of help spread their dress code policy, and I refuse to do so. I think if you want to visit your client, and if you can wear it in court, you can wear it to see your client in jail. And I don't see the problem with that. So that one we're kind of still fighting, working through as well. And it's just kind of.
I've got a T-shirt that says "Suns Out, Guns Out," and it's a tank top.
Wear it.
And I look terrible in it, but I think I'm gonna wear it to the jail to go visit a client.
Wear it. Wear it.
I won't probably be able to take that meeting with the client. It'll probably just be like a get in the jail, get to the attorney booth, and then be like, "Oh, I gotta go," because I can't have my clients see me in that.
Just bring a shirt in your backpack and put it back on. So we're actively trying with Murray and Joe Venus to try to, one, improve the overall quality of visits so that we can have these visits, and two, make them more fruitful. And I think if you are in jail, for sure, the Wi-Fi thing is important, because as an attorney, you need to show your clients information. And how do you expect your client to understand the nature of their case and evidence if they can't see it? You're just relying upon your word. So we're kind of going back and forth with that one, and hopefully we can get some good traction there to keep our clients in Harris County so they don't get shipped off, especially if they're set for trial, to give the attorneys the ability to adequately communicate with them with Wi-Fi and technology, which everybody has, to not discriminate against attorneys' clothing. Like I said, it's one thing if it's extremely revealing or extremely inappropriate, but I just do not feel shoulders, not cleavage. Right. You know, they're not talking about anything. I'm talking about shoulders. I don't think shoulders are
women's shoulders.
Women's shoulders. I mean, that's kind of wild to me, man. You know, next thing it'll be ankles as well. And so we're kind of navigating that field with that as well. And I hope that we can get some good resolution with the jail, because for the most part, we've endured a lot as attorneys to do jail visits, right?
There's obviously a lot of inconsistency, right?
Yeah.
Because there's 3 main jails in Harris County for state cases, and I can go into some, and I don't have. Oh, look at our lower third. That's cool. Thanks, Mark. I don't have any security in one of those jails. I can walk in. I don't even fill out any paperwork. I just show them my bar card and my driver's license. Just verbally tell them who I'm there to see. And they say, okay, go in that door right there. There's a metal detector right there. There's a guard right there by it, but they just let me walk right around it and go sit in that room. And that's great. I don't have anything. I'm not going to risk getting myself, I'm not going to take contraband into a correctional facility and risk a felony charge.
Nope.
But there's that jail. Then you go across the street to another jail, and there's this one guy there. I saw an attorney going through, and he had some e-juice for a cigarette? One of those vape things. Yeah, an electronic cigarette. And it wasn't even that thing. It was just the e-juice for it. And the guard was like, nope, not bringing that in. And the guy was like 2 people. My assistant was in front of me, and then that attorney was in front of my assistant. And he was like, what are they? I can't do anything with this. I put the thing in my locker. I got a line. Can you hold it? Or I can't do anything with it. He's like, no, sir. I know what you guys do with these. You suck on it, and then you blow a little bit of the steam or the smoke through the little slit in there so your client can inhale it and get high. And I was just like,
who does that?
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. This is none of my business, but I can't sit back. Tell me again what you think he's going to do if he actually had this isn't even an electronic cigarette, right? You're saying it's not the cigarette? Like, no, it's not. Cigarette's in the locker. I was like, but if it was a cigarette, what do you think the guy's going to do? And he's like, oh, y'all do that. Y'all blow it through the vent. And I was like,
yeah, that's a lot.
Man, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And he's flat-ass lying. They have never caught anybody doing that in that building ever. It would be impossible. You can't get more than 3 sheets of paper through that little slit that he's talking about.
If that.
3 sheets of paper won't fit through that. And you think you can blow smoke through it? and like they can suck it in and get like I don't know what that guy's smoking. But the rules and then that same jail, if you go at a different time of day, if you're an attorney and you have the attorney ID thing, other people at that station, they just wave you right through. The metal detector goes off when I go through. Like, it's all right. It's all right. Let me look through your bag. Yeah, cool. You're good. So that's there's just such inconsistency there that a woman who shows up one day wearing a dress that she wore last week and was able to see her client, she shows up another day and it's a different shift of people, and that person is going to say you can't come in. That's the other problem is there's not consistency. It's arbitrary, and it's always our fault. We're always getting yelled at. Our clients are always getting yelled at. And how many times does your client not come out and they tell you, oh, they didn't come out because they didn't want to talk to you? And then you go talk to your client, and what does your client say?
They never call me out.
They didn't tell me you were here.
Never
I didn't
told
know
me
you
were
came
here.
to see me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe they're getting mad at the guards and getting into fights because they're mad that they think their attorneys aren't coming to see them, but they actually are.
Yep.
And they're not
yep.
even
we had
see them.
Funny you should say that. We had a case where a client we communicated a lot because he was in Post, Texas. And so we would talk on Post a lot. And we finally got him down in Harris County, set for trial real soon. And we go to visit him in Harris County jail, and we waited 30 minutes, and the jail goes, oh, he's at lunch and doesn't want to see you. And I'm like, I know that's not true. One, he's set for trial next week. And two, we talk. He can't wait to see me. And so I need to go back there to try again. And they came back and they were like, oh, no, he's not back from Post, Texas yet. Who'd you talk to? Oh, I don't remember.
Wait, I thought he was at lunch. He didn't want to talk to me.
Right.
But now it's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's something that happens. But, the idea here is, for the most part, the jail, we have a good relationship with them, right? For the most part, although we go through a lot of hoops to visit our clients, it's not adversarial. And there's no reason for it to be. I think people forget that as a defense attorney, we're not like nobody's a bad guy here. We just work together. And most deputies, I think, recognize that this isn't adversarial. You're there to guard them. I'm there to visit. Let's make this happen. Right? I don't want to stay here all day. You don't want to stay here all day. I got other things to do.
You don't want me here all day.
Right. Let's make this happen. And if we can get back to that cordiality and that good working relationship, right, and then improve some things, right? Let's not just stay where we were. Let's make things better for both people. It can be better for both parties. Trust me, I'd rather do a Zoom visit than walk in the hot sun to the jail. You would rather me do a Zoom visit because you can bring them out, do a 30-minute Zoom, send it back. You don't have to worry about escorting me up or having the metal detectors, all that kind of stuff. It's much easier. So let's work that out. So anyways, we're kind of working on those issues and kind of going through that as well. But now I want to talk about something, Justin. Have you been following the Ken Paxton trial?
Not as much as I'd like to. It's been going so quickly, and I've been like sick earlier part of this week, and I was going to try to watch it when I was homesick, but then I ended up just taking too much cold medicine and falling asleep.
Well, it's an interesting trial because on one hand, I watched a little bit of it in prepping for a murder trial tomorrow, but the part I think is interesting is you have Rusty Harton, right, and Dick DeGuerin. Is it Dick or Mike? It's Dick. Dick leading a prosecution against Busby, Cogdell, and also Anthony Oso, which is like a very weird dynamic there. And I got
the older Anthony Oso.
Huh? Yeah, baby Oso.
The younger or the older?
Definitely younger.
The younger Oso's there?
Yeah. He's actually doing some.
Nice.
You haven't seen it? You got to watch it. He's actually doing some questioning, and it is kind of interesting. And so I was curious, what do you think of one, Paxton's chances of winning, like getting a not guilty, and two, what do you think about just in general him being charged or this proceeding against him, if you have an opinion?
Yeah, so I'm going to answer in opposite order. So the charges came overwhelmingly, right? It was like 120 to 23, if I remember correctly, overwhelmingly against him. And apparently some of the evidence that we're going to be hearing or that's going to be presented is pretty damning. And a lot of this, from what I'm hearing in some of the articles that I've read about it, I haven't watched anything firsthand, but the articles that I've read about it a lot of this is boiling down to an affair that he had. And while Ken Paxton, from what I understand, is not required to be present for the proceedings, he hasn't been in the room for the testimony so far, from what I've read. But his wife is a senator, a Texas senator, Angela Paxton, and she is sitting there. Now, she's recused from voting on this, but she's apparently been there listening to this testimony about this affair that obviously she knows about now. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious. She stood by him through all this and done all the, you know, speeches and introductions with him and kissing him on the stage and showing. So, they're a political family, and it may be that she's decided she's going to put aside like her
Career
feelings
feelings. Maybe
for
she
her
doesn't believe
political
it.
career.
I don't know.
Well, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I think they may be both betting on we have to stay together for both of our political careers. Because I don't know how his political career, crashes and burns, and they stay together, and hers doesn't also. So
Well, do you
I
think,
don't know. As far
funny?
as the outcome, I think the outcome is going to be political. I
Yeah.
don't actually think that the impeachment, the charge itself, is political because of how many Republicans voted to impeach him. But whether if he's found guilty or not, I think there's going to be politics playing in that decision more so than I think the decision to charge him, which I do think is probably somewhat political. I think you can charge any politician without there be some politics behind it, but I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I have heard that there was a call yesterday for a vote that would have ended it right then and there, and I think only 6 or 7 Republicans voted to end the session without quit him basically before it got started, like a motion for summary judgment kind of thing.
Right.
And they didn't. They kind of thought they might have enough votes to kill it right then and there, and there were some people who were surprised that they didn't, which could be a bad foretelling for our attorney general.
So I think I agree with you. I think it's definitely political, but I'm wondering if you think this is political to the point where this could ruin his political career, because these aren't necessarily, this is impeachment, right? And he's, like you said, the crux of it is an affair. Out of everything this man's accused of doing, I'm wondering if this is enough to stop him from proceeding forward. And I'm going to tie this in because I'm going to segue with this to what's going on the national stage with Donald Trump, and his criminal proceedings across the entire eastern seaboard.
So I don't know what I think that Ken Paxton wants John Cornyn's Senate seat. I don't think he wants the governor. I don't think he wants the lieutenant governor. I might be wrong there. I think ultimately he wants the Senate. And I don't know. I mean, we're just in this weird era where.
Well, if he gets impeached
I don't know.
out of office, can he run for a state office again if he gets impeached out of a Texas office?
I don't know.
You don't know? I'm curious about that.
I don't think you can. If he's found guilty, he may not be able to, but he could run nationally.
For sure. So let's switch to national now. We know President Trump has charges in the New York, D.C., Miami, Florida, and now Atlanta, right? He's got state and federal charges in 4 different districts.
Right. This says, by the way, this is an ABC News article that says that if Paxton is convicted, he will be removed from office and potentially permanently barred from serving in future public offices in Texas.
Okay.
So even if he's convicted, he might. It says potentially permanently barred, so he also might not be permanently barred, and it would only be from state office. According to this, he still could run for federal office.
So I'm willing to bet that potential is he might be impeached and then he might appeal. And so until the appeal is final, he can still run. And then if it's confirmed, then it's a done deal.
It could depend on if he's convicted of like a lesser included or something,
Right. Well, if he's impeached, I think he's impeached. So let's switch now to the national. We got Donald Trump, right? He's got these 4 charges, or these 4 jurisdictions, and these litany of charges.
What do you think about it for Ken Paxton's career? If he's found guilty, if he's not?
On the federal stage, I don't think so. Ken Paxton has aligned himself pretty well with Trump. He's done a really good job with that. And if you look at the current polling, Trump is leading the Republican ballot for president, despite everything we know about him, despite the four jurisdictions, despite the 2 different federal charges, DC and Florida, 2 different state charges, New York and Atlanta. And despite the fact that, Florida is a heavily Republican state, they went with Trump heavily, and they've indicted him federally. And Georgia as a state went with Democrat, but Georgia is in the South, right? And so they have a heavy Republican voters, and still, he's facing charges there. So actually, what I want to bring to your attention is something very unique, and it's going to require something to think about when it comes to Trump. All right,
so bring it on.
It's something different now. There is a belief that since Donald Trump has used his Atlanta, Georgia mugshot as a campaign and use it to generate funds, that he can be sued for that by Atlanta, because Atlanta, Georgia, or that jurisdiction, I think it's Suffolk County, whatever county it is, they're the ones that own his likeness as far as the mugshot. So you can use your mugshot to say, hey, this is me, I've been charged, whatever. But you can't use your mugshot and sell it. Does that make sense?
You can put it up on your wall like a proud blemish on your record, but you can't sell it.
You can't put it on a T-shirt and say, support me because I've been charged with my mugshot. And apparently he's done that and made some money. And so like $7 million or however many bucks.
They made $7 million in that first week.
And he used that mugshot. And so there is a growing belief that he can get sued for that. So let me ask you that question. Do you believe, A, he has any rights to his own mugshot? His mugshot. B, do you think because the mugshot belongs to the government and it is public domain, that it can be sold by any entity for money? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I took copyright law in law school, and it was a really interesting, cool class. When it comes to photographs, like the photographer owns that. It's kind of like I'm also kind of thinking of like a court reporter's record. It becomes their work product, and we have to buy it from them. But there are also some rules that kind of govern that, and there are some ways that the court can either pay for it or whatever. But and there are rules that once they give out a copy of it, then we can get copies from other people, and they may not have to be paid for that. So I don't know. That's why I do criminal defense and not copyright law. I do have a good friend who does patents and copyrights. He might be someone we could ask about that. But I think that's interesting. I don't know who the ownership rights would belong to. And
I mean, can somebody own a document that is publicly available? Your mugshot, your criminal history, those are all publicly available, right? Yes, they are housed by DPS, and to search for it, it's a fee, but can I own my own mugshot? Can I make money off my own mugshot? And remember, in this
what about like mugshots.com and those kind of websites that post those? They don't make money necessarily for posting it. They make money when you pay them to take it down.
Still make money.
Or just from the ad revenue from the banners around the side. But, oh, man, I hadn't thought about the copyright implications of the ownership of a mugshot. Because I've seen, how many mugshots have I seen online of people? And like one of the kids was saying, oh, you got to go look at who's got the best mugshot, according to her. Tyler, the Creator. So you got to go look at Tyler, the Creator's mugshot. It's like the best ever. And there's like T-shirts with his mugshot on it, but I don't know. I don't know who owns the rights to that. That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's going to be hilarious if like the Make America Great Again PAC has to cut a licensing or a royalty check to like the Fulton County Sheriff's Office.
Right.
Or like the photographer for the Fulton County Sheriff's Office in Georgia. Oh, so man, I don't somebody think should do that and keep paying everybody's legal fees.
Do you think it's okay to take your own mugshot and make money off of it? Your own mugshot. And remember, you haven't been convicted of a crime. So it's not the what's the guy's name? The bull who wrote that book about his crimes and made money off of it. So he passed the law that says you can't do it anymore, the mob boss.
Oh yeah.
It's not a situation where you've been convicted and you can't make money off your crimes. We're talking about a post-conviction, still presumed innocent mugshot that was taken by the public and put in public domain.
I don't know. I mean,
so I saw it on TikTok. I thought was
there's an analysis that can be done here. I mean, there was there was a case just recently decided on copyright issues. This is making me think of, and now it just left my brain. Not the Ed Sheeran song thing in the Marvin Gaye family suing him. Damn it! What?
Oh, they
Oh,
lost that one, by the way.
there was the Prince. Who was it? Who was on the cover of the magazine? Was it Prince? Mark, you know what I'm talking about? There was a musician who was on the cover of a magazine, and like Andy Warhol had taken the photo, I think,
Don't know.
and
Sorry.
the magazine reprinted the photo, and it was goddamn.
All right, so while you think about that, and I do want to come back to this situation with Trump and that, because like I said, I saw it on TikTok. I thought it was kind of interesting, and then my wife showed it to me, and I thought it was kind of interesting. Like confluence of criminal law and civil law and all that kind of good stuff, and who can make money. Go ahead.
So yeah, sorry, it was the Supreme Court case, and the Supreme Court decided, like, this photographer took a picture of of Prince, and then Andy Warhol got the picture and like did his Andy Warhol thing to the photograph, and then what magazine is this? Some magazine printed it as a special commemorative edition, and I think the photographer sued the magazine, saying like, you can't use that. I took the picture, Andy Warhol, and they were like, no, Andy Warhol. I don't remember who said. Maybe it was Warhol's estate. Anyway, the Supreme Court kind of dealt with something similar to that. So I think that answer is something that would be able to be answered. I don't know. I mean, you've seen it beaten around the bush that you think that you should be able to profit off of pictures somebody else takes of you that you don't own, just because you haven't been convicted of the crime. I don't know.
No, I don't know if I that far, but I think your mugshot is public domain, right? And I can't see the government having an ownership interest in your mugshot. They house it, they keep it, but I think it's yours. Now, if I were to take Trump's mugshot and put it on a picture and sell it, I think that could be a problem. Or I think he can do it. He can sue me or whatever. But I don't think that's a problem for the own person to put their own picture, even if the government took it, because it's in the public domain. And I just feel like I don't feel like that's an issue here, but it's something that
I don't think he can sue you. I don't think he'd have standing to sue you if you made a shirt with his mugshot on it. I don't think he'd be able to sue you because he's a public figure, and public figures have a different analysis when their images are used.
True.
But that's why people like put his face on a spike and they carry it around with like a big no through it or something. You can use his likeness for political speech.
Yeah, but not for financial gain. That's what I'm saying. If I take his picture, but you think so? I can take.
If I take his mugshot, put on a shirt, and I write "criminal" across it, and I start blasting those things out and selling them, he can't come stop me from doing that or get money from me for doing that. But maybe the person who took that photo, who has actual ownership of that photo, might be able to. If it is, like you said, public domain, then I can use it for whatever I want, and I can profit off of it. But I can't stop other people from doing it unless they take my exact criminal logo and put it somewhere else. That's my again. I'm a criminal defense lawyer, not a copyright lawyer.
Right.
Well, copyright lawyer is going to call in 713-807-1794. I think, is that right? 1794.
You're just making up numbers. You're just making up numbers.
Yeah.
So how is that different than mugshot.com?
1794. Look, I'm right.
So how's it different than like mugshot.com or any other entity that buys our client's criminal history, post it, and then try to sell it? Where's the difference there?
I don't know that there is one. I mean, other than like, okay, the mugshot itself, if that's considered art, so I guess that might be the first place it fails. It's just something that someone takes in the regular course of business. It's not done for like aesthetic pleasing. It's done to like identify the person who was arrested and match a face with a name if you need to like figure out this is the right person. In fact, that's why they used to do like a profile picture, is so that they could see someone's ear, because apparently the shape of our ears are as unique as like our fingerprints. They don't do those anymore. And I did hear some interesting arguments about how Trump didn't need to have a mugshot taken, because the purpose of a mugshot is if the person skips bail, you can put a want poster up that says, we're looking for this guy right here. He looks like this, but everybody knows who Trump is. So if he's ever wanted, you just put wanted Donald J. Trump. And everyone's like, oh, that's him, the guy with the orange hair. So I don't know. Oh, actually, no. Did you see that in his Fulton County booking information? His hair color is strawberry.
No, I saw a lot of things in there. that his height,
Oh,
his
yeah.
weight, that were kind of.
He's 6'3", 216 pounds or something, which was also what Muhammad Ali's fighting height and
Yes,
weight.
yes,
Muhammad Ali was like six foot
yes.
three and 216. I was like, damn, I weigh more than the president and I'm shorter than him. Like, huh? I
Yeah, well,
carry it
he's the
better under my
president,
suits
so
than he does.
yeah, there are a lot of things there. I saw. I mean, between that and one thing I noticed was the only person there to not negotiate bond. I noticed that was this black guy, and I felt sorry for him. But anyways, so we can move
Oh
back to
yeah, that only guy that
yeah,
got held. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That
yeah.
was kind
He
of
also had
odd
a
to
warrant
me.
out of another state, though, from what I understood. He
I'm
got a
sure he
hold.
does. I'm sure. I'm
That was
sure.
pretty bad.
I'm,
That was pretty rough.
I'm
Poor
sure.
guy.
I'm sure. All right, so let's take it back to Harris County, or at least Texas. Let's go back to Harris County here. So one of the things that when like I said, I talked to my friends about coming here today because it's a surprise host for me. Uh, One of the issues we talked about was with the courthouse and increased dockets, the kind of things going back to normal. Have you noticed, or do you feel like docket size on the felony level, not so much misdemeanor, have gone back to pre-COVID stances and really against the promises to where they would be more considerate of our clients' work history, our clients' work schedule, that kind of stuff? Like, have you noticed that dockets are back to being usual? The elevators are crowded, courts are packed. We're back to the 3-week resets. Have you noticed stuff like that? And what's your opinion on
In
it?
some courts, yes. In some courts, I have noticed that. In some district courts, I've noticed like mostly the gallery's empty. Attorneys are there doing business, getting cases taken care of. The clients who are there have like an actual reason to be there. There's other courts you go into and you're like, whoa, there's nowhere for even an attorney to sit. I'll come back in like 45 minutes. Um, there's judges that are like new judges that were defense attorneys not that long ago that are doing like formal docket call, and I don't understand why we do that. Like,
Yeah, well,
at the end of the docket, you know who was there and who wasn't. You don't need to call everybody's name. Um,
so are you saying if you were a judge, you wouldn't do a formal docket call?
I don't think so. I'm like, maybe I have a bond forfeiture docket, and you're required to call their names from the courthouse steps 3 times or 2 times out loud, or have
Right.
the bailiff do that. Maybe we'd call docket for the SFBFs, but no, I don't. There's some like pomp and circumstance with courts that I think is important. I think like standing up and being silent when the judge comes out, and showing deference and respect to the bench, I think is a good kind of like, it works to just kind of like make everybody kind of straighten up for even for a few minutes and realize this isn't like we're at the grocery store or at the airport or something. This is more serious. Um, I it may be cheesy, but I actually like the few courts where you go in and they do the Pledge of Allegiance. Um,
What?
I think you should be okay not doing that. But I think we lose some civics and stuff in our society. I think that we should kind of be reminded of some of those things in little ways. Um, I don't like the courts I go into where they do a prayer. Those were like some of the JP courts that I used to go into. Yeah, there are some JP courts that do a prayer.
Well, I've never stepped foot in a court that did a pledge of allegiance or prayer, and I just don't know how I'd feel about that. I really don't. I mean, I get the
Judge
civic
Jordan
side of
does
it.
it. I think
Who?
Judge Jordan in 16 does the pledge and the state pledge. There's a
Mm,
judge in Burnham and that did it. That was one of the first ones I saw. But I think Judge Jordan does it when he's on the bench.
no, no, thank you.
That's
You know,
court 16. I know you stay above the 11th floor mostly,
I
but
try to. I try to.
yeah.
I try to.
Um, no, but there are some judges I think that are still recognizing. I just want to I know we have like less than 2 minutes left, but I just want to say one thing real quick. District attorneys and assistant district attorneys, assistant clerks, CLOs, people who like don't have one of our badges, one of these badges, a green one, use your elevators on the southwest side of the building, please, or the southeast side. You have 3 of them over there, okay? And you're stopping at floors that we can't stop on. So go to those elevators and use your 3. Leave our 2 little measly elevators on the northwest side of the building alone, okay? Go to yours on the 3 on the other side. Let us have 2 freaking elevators. You don't have to get anywhere except from your office to the court, and then from the court to your office when it's over. We've got to be in 6 different courts in the same morning. So stop using our elevators.
Whew,
Our elevators.
whew, so the anger. Actually, I
I
don't
wanted
use
to say that.
elevators.
And And like, Mark, find that segment and pull that out and put that there. I'm like, call that little clip, like, stop
Make
using
that
the defense
the,
attorney's elevators.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so actually I'm gonna
Please.
take that clip, I'm gonna make a shirt out of it, and I'm gonna sell it. I'm gonna sell it in the courthouse. It's a picture of Justin, and it says, "Stop
Fair
using our
use.
elevators."
I waive any rights
Great.
of copyright on that.
I'm gonna make a whole $5 off of it. You're gonna buy it, and your assistant, and that's
I'll buy
it.
one.
I know
I'll
you
buy
and
one.
your
How much? So they're
assistant.
like $2.50 each. Dude, they're $2.50 each. I'll buy 10.
There you go. I'll sell 2 of them. I'll sell 2 and wear the rest. So it's actually been, you know,
like,
I'll say this before we close and my little closing thing. I agree with you. I've been in smaller counties where they don't call docket at the end of the day. When docket's over, if you showed up, great. If you didn't, ball forfeited. I support that. So we got about 30 seconds
Makes
left.
sense.
Justin, is there anything you want to say besides stay off my elevators and stay off my yard?
Stay off our damn elevators. You can come stand in my front yard, especially when it's 110 degrees outside, but stay off my elevators. Damon, thank you so much for coming on. This has been great. We've had some fresh topics to talk about. I like that. Our president called in earlier. We got our vice president hosting tonight. Everyone's lucky who got to tune in.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on. Hopefully any other time you guys need me, I'll be around. You guys have a good night.
All right. I'll let you know. Thank you.